Good morning, everyone. Stop attending to Pharaoh's business. Get up and build for your people. Stop attending to Pharaoh's business. Get up and build for your people. April 5th of 2020 will forever be a day that I'll never be able to forget. I went to bed. I had gotten calls from a friend of mine who was in Detroit, from Detroit, and he was constantly sending me people who had passed away with COVID-19. And it started with me watching the bus driver complain because some lady was coughing on him, and then 2 weeks later he had died from COVID. So my scream to God, my cry to God that night, I went to bed about 1:30 a.m., was, God, why? Why does it seem that it's always us? And by us, I mean African-American people. I mean, have we not been through enough? Slavery, bondage, 400 years of oppression. I don't really care if someone says, well, 1619, this isn't the America that it is today. It doesn't matter because there's no variable for time. Those people, those first 20 slaves on that ship, we don't know their names. I shared this with people before, and it got shared with me because, we revise history and we do all these different things. But when you were born with a name, right? It was you. My name is Brian Lamont Roberts. That's my name, right? And when I look in the mirror, I'm looking at Brian. But history didn't record those names. And so the Spirit had been working on me about that because we go through history and we just kind of smudge over it. But in the Caribbean, there is a museum underwater, and it gives representation of those who died. And I think we need to think about that on those slave ships. And I remember Maya Angelou speaking to Dave Chappelle. It was really powerful back in the day. And she was talking about how she got in very descriptive terms, how they were stacked on slave ships and brought to the Americas. And she talked about how their blood flowed, if the women menstruated, anything that happened, any of the natural things that happened in life, they suffered with. And some were thrown overboard, and their souls, God rest their souls, hopefully made it to heaven, right? But they were overboard in the ocean, always forgotten, never remembered, we don't even know their names. And so when God said to me, stop attending to Pharaoh's business, get up and build for your people, the history of who my family is and who I am and what we are began to resonate with me. I'm 51 years old. My Uncle Noah Sherman was an ambassador to Sierra Leone. My Uncle Nathaniel Sherman was an activist. But when I say an activist, he got it done. It wasn't about political affiliations and being known. It was about moving the needle in his community, starting the Meals on Wheels program. And so the thing that the Spirit spoke to me that day when he said, stop attending to Pharaoh's business, he says, if not you, then who? And I'm going to pose that back to you, because I can't do what I do by myself. If not you, then who? God hears your complaints. He knows what you're mad about. As a matter of fact, poor gentleman was killed, was murdered in Louisville, Kentucky, my hometown, and he was one of the founding members of Lincoln Bridge. And this was a group that had supposedly made it, right? But what does really making it mean? And this is really where I want to kind of dig and unplug and bring your brains into reality. So I was having a nice little conversation with Angela last night, and she's had the privilege of being behind the scenes and seeing some of the stars. And or what we think are stars, right? And so the celebrities. And so what Fantasia said is absolutely true. People are out here chasing a facade, chasing a dream, thinking that it's a reality. And the reality is, I can tell you, I won't name any names or say anything, but a lot of people are struggling. They're struggling. And you've seen them on TV, and you've assumed that they were wealthy because they did some kind of ad with a nice car, and you didn't realize that was a rental, or that house that they were living in was a rental. MTV Cribs was fake, right? I mean, most of it was fake. I saw one on Betsy Johnson that was real. I mean, I could tell, right? It was a real house. It wasn't anything crazy, though. And you're running with these assumptions, but who wins when you run with these assumptions? The establishment. That's who wins. When you run with the assumption that you got to go and kill your brother or kill your sister because you don't have enough money or enough increase and you're not living that life or what have you, the devil wins when that happens. And so when I say stop attending to Pharaoh's business, get up and build for your people, that was what was spoken into my spirit. These aren't even words that I can even put together, to be honest with you. And so when I thought about Pharaoh, I said, oh my God, I get it. We do. We run. The establishment tells us where to go, and we do it. Every single one of us, we do it. And we do it without thinking. And then some of you, even as I'm talking right now, will listen to me, but watch the TV and mess with your cell phone for something else, right? We all do it. We're super duper distracted. But something I remember God saying to me one time as I'm driving to Chicago, and of course, the reason I say God is number one, that's Angeles City, but Chicago's on fire. I mean, people kill each other for no reason in Chicago. It's going on in Atlanta, it's going on here, it's going on everywhere, right? But I'm riding in and out of Chicago, and my best friend came from the south side of Chicago, and I remember it was the weekend where Dwayne Wade's cousin got shot, and she's just a woman walking down the street. It was ridiculous, right? And so here I am at the Sky Bridge, and I remember God saying something to me. And I thought it was crazy at first, but I knew it had to be God. And he said, before Google was, I am. And if you know anything about your Bible, when God says I am, that's pretty much what he means, right? But I am fill in the blanks. And we've let technology fill in the blanks. And it's just a resource or a tool, but it was never meant to fill in the blanks. But you know us, we go off the deep end and we let it fill in the blanks. And you can see people making robots that look real, and it's really gotten out of hand, right? But we fill in the blanks for whatever we don't have, or what we can't become, or what we can't be, and we fill in the blanks with these things. And so when I designed Diamond VIP, or the idea of a room, or the idea of coming together, or any of this, it was with my brother's keeper in mind. We are our brother's keeper. If we stop becoming our brother's keeper, we will lose touch with reality and therefore our soul. I'm going to tell you the truth. And 100% of how my wife and I, our theory, or my theory has always been, is we give our way to success. And I sit and I teach this, and people think I'm crazy. Well, I mean, am I crazy? I've reached success. So I must have something to tell you. But if what I tell you doesn't line up with something you can Google, a lot of people don't listen. It's a weird world today. Very, very strange world. And so I'm giving you my actual testimony, my actual life. I'm telling you things that at one point in my life, I wouldn't even speak on. I wouldn't tell someone, oh man, I had so many repossessions. Man, I was running, lost my house. And I think because you see it, you don't think it's real. But it's 100% real. And the reason why I'm giving it to you is it should resonate with you that whatever it is you're going through, you can make it out of that too. But you're not going to make it out of that thinking that someone owes you anything, because no one owes you anything. But you can make it out of that digging in, getting on your knees, seeking your God, and saying, look, I don't have it all together. Never said I did. But inside of you, I know for a fact, God put some things inside of you. He put some dreams, some ambitions inside of you. Now, I didn't say that all of you believe in God, but I know this is for those that do. And you say that you believe in God, right? But did he not put dreams inside of you? Did he not say some things that you knew were him by yourself on a lonely road, driving down the street? Hey, Martha, whatever happened to this? I'm not the only one that gets nudged by God. We all do. What happens is you've accepted that he's going to allow you to die without ever achieving it. And that, my friend, is a lie from the pit of hell. That's the lie that came from the enemy, not God. God is still waiting on you on the other side of a door. He's literally just waiting on you to walk through that doorway and get you your purpose and your destiny. So he sends me, right, minding my own business, and gives me a prophecy on April 5th of 2020. Shows me that if I live out this prophecy, if I just do what he tells me to do, that we weren't going to have to worry about what we were doing with my wife and her movies and TV and all that stuff. There was going to be red carpet after red carpet after red carpet. Now, does this make sense? No. No, doesn't make sense. But in the grand scheme of things, it does make sense, because when I humbled myself and spent hour after hour after hour on something other than myself, and keep in mind, guys, I was a giver anyway, so it wasn't like I was just doing that, but he wanted more. God requires more of you than you've even ever given, ever considered giving. He wants to change your whole dogma as to what you think is giving. And if you really want to understand why, look at the world around you. Look at how evil people have become. They can't even find their souls right now. They can't find their hearts right now. So the only way to melt their hearts really is on your knees. The more you pray and fast and the church becomes what the church said it was, the more you'll see people moving, humbled. And so I give in love. Everything that I've given to you, I've given in love. I think of the time I put in, my God. The efforts I put in, my God. But I'm building a foundation. It's a foundation of brotherhood and sisterhood and love. But I can't do this alone. If you want a brother, I'm here. If you want a friend, I'm here. But that does not mean I have time to talk to however many 100 people a day. I don't. You'll literally kill me, exhaust me. I don't have time. And I knew it was going to come to this. And I shared this with quite a few people. Because the way the full prophecy works is some will come in 30 days. That was 30 days from April 5th to May 5th. Some will come in 60 days, June 5th. Some will come in 90 days, July 5th. There was a 90-day window I could not see through. When I say that, it's because it picks back up after the 90 days. So that's July. So now that's August, September, October. In those months, that was when out in LA, they released movie production. And you can Google this. And I find it amazing that I say these things, but people don't even Google the right thing. You can Google this. So it started about September. You probably remembered even the Tonight Show was from their homes, and it was just, everything was just crazy, right? Saturday Night Live was from their homes, right? And so this opens up. That 90-day window happens, and definitely God happens in that time. Movements that we could not have predicted. Meanwhile, back home in Louisville, Kentucky, what were they doing? They were marching for the Breonna Taylor situation, which I'm not, trust me, guys. Any cause, I'm for it, right? But where did that go? Where did that fervor go? Where did that supposed support go? Where did that supposed love and community go? When 5 people were killed in Louisville, Kentucky in a 41-hour period. And one of the gentlemen was the gentleman who helped start Lincoln Bridge. It went nowhere because the people don't realize you can't trust leaders nowadays, unfortunately, because most leaders just want to gain another platform. It comes down to community being what community was always meant to be, or what God meant for it to be. Didn't have to worry about economies as long as people were making sure that they gave business to their brothers and their sisters. See, this whole technology thing, although, supposedly helpful, has separated every single human being from one another. It has created more and more greed. It's created more and more callousness. Oh, I hear you talking, but I don't need you, right? And unfortunately, when you live that out and you have a whole generation that's what they've had, they can't find their way back home. So it's your job to help them before you leave this earth, find their way back home. And that place back home is your brother and sister's hand, meaning we got to care about one another again. We got to love one another again. If I was spending more time thinking about the welfare of my brothers and sisters, which, by the way, I have for the last almost 3 years, thought about your welfare more so than mine. Thought about how to make your income increase more so than mine. Thought about things that I can bring to you that would allow you to level up in any way, shape, or form that you so desire. And where are the people? Scattered abroad. Some are scattered. I saw greed. I saw need to want to be that one again and go do all that worldly stuff and all the things that the world is telling you. I'm going to tell you something about me. You don't go from homeless to where I am in life if there's no wisdom. I'll say that again. You don't go from homelessness if there's no wisdom. So as awkward as it may be, if I tell you something, I'm giving you the same blueprint that I followed. I followed God. I got on my knees. I shut my mouth. I shut down my opinion. And I said, God, what direction would you have us go in? As a matter of fact, I gave back as an offering to God every single thing that he ever gave me in my life. Dedicated houses back to him, cars. Once you lose them, what's the big deal? Might as well dedicate them back to him, see if he wants me to have them. And you see a manifestation of what his answer was. But yet you hear me say, do these things, and I doubt most of you do them. I'm going to keep speaking and saying this stuff until I don't have no more teeth anymore. See all those? Right. As soon as I lose those, then I'll stop. But this is a 20-year journey, guys. Easy. 20. I know, 71, right? I know I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, it's crazy. And so when you see me evolve, I'm evolving with that idea in mind. I'm already retired. I was retired when I was 38. I was 38. So when I tell you the way to move the needle is on your knees and speak in the mountains, man, if I was you, And everything else has been a mess, because if it's anything like it was in my life, no matter what I did, no matter where I turned, it was always a mess, right? And I remember telling my wife, man, maybe, who knows? Maybe you'll be better off somewhere else. I'm just going to be real. That's me, right? But I was so determined to choose God, to choose his road, to choose the way he wanted me to go, that I would just let him say it and just do it. And this is a challenge for the world today. So I placed in there every single thing from a vision God gave me less than 3 years ago. Will be 3 years in April. And I'm expecting, man, like fireworks going off. I'm just telling you, okay? Because whenever there's a 3, it is God. That's a God number, right? So we're going to enter 3 years. But some of you don't understand 3 years of what? 3 years of just solid obedience. I'll let that rest for a second. 3 years of solid obedience. Go find a bunch of people you don't know. The last shall be first, the first shall be last. Raphael witnessed it. Some of you need to talk to him. I was coming back from the desert. Some guy finds my number out of nowhere and calls me, and it's been 5 years. I literally blew his mind as to what happened in those last 5 years that he missed. So I don't care what it is you're thinking God wants in this season. I'm going to tell you, he's angry. He's mad at the way we are. He's mad at the evil and the just disregard for life that is in the world today. And if whatever financial thing that you're doing, see, this is also spiritual. It's financial, but it's also spiritual. Whatever financial thing you're doing, if it's going to bring good, fine. But if it's only going to bring a bunch of money and you're not going to know what to do with that money, or you don't have a purpose in God, God does not care, and he's not on your side. And one thing I never wanted to be was wealthy and God not on my side. God bless.